Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's podcast, Aurum Consultants Podcast. And we are very glad to have you joining us today. Today, the Huduma Day, Huduma Day that was declared by the government. And we are glad to be of Huduma to all our listeners and all those who are watching us via Facebook. Karibuni sana. My name is Anthony Kuria. I'm your host today. And with me, we have Zipporah Kuria, the HR consultant here at Aurum Consultants, and my guest, the one and only Kenjie Kirimi of Bawa Connect. Karibuni sana.
Thank you.
Asante.
Yes, Kenjie.
Thanks, Tony.
Yes, karibu sana. You know, ladies and gentlemen, Kenjie and Zippy, this has been what is called the Customer Service Week, where all over the world the customer is made to be the king. Is made to feel like the king in wherever places they have gone to do shopping. So I'm sure you have received SMSs and emails. Any place that you have ever shopped, whether it's a Faricom, whether it's Airtel, whether it's a supermarket, whether it's your garage, if they are savvy enough, they'll probably send you a text. You've seen emails, branded, we are glad to serve you. So I want us to focus on what we would call the employee journey mapping, because we always talk about out there the customer, the person who walks into your shop, the person who clicks to buy your stuff online, the person who brings his car, to your garage for for repair, whatever it is. It is always, the focus is always on the external customer. Today we want to talk about employee journey mapping, and the thing that brought my attention, I thought we need to discuss this today, is we always forget the internal customer. The internal customer is our staff, the people who are working in our organizations. And I would like us to talk more about that internal customer, that person that you meet in the office every morning, your colleague who sits next to you, that person who calls you, hey, I need my internet connected, or somebody who, in your work, you need to collaborate to get things done. And I would like to start with Zipporah. Let's talk of the employee as an internal customer. How does that begin?
Thank you, Anthony. And I think you have well put it out. This week is a customer service week. And most of us forget that we have internal customers who are our employees. And, I would be keen to know, and I wish someone was to do a research and tell us how many of us employers appreciate our employees, and especially when we are out there appreciating customers on a customer service week. Are we looking internally to appreciate those employees for making the customers happy in the first place? Yes. But like you say, let's talk about employees as our internal customers. One of the things I keep on saying, an external customer will never have a good experience if your internal customers are not having good or pleasant experiences. They might try and put their best foot forward, but again, you only get what you give. So if as an employer, you are not investing and appreciating your internal customers, who are your employees, making them feel appreciated, making them feel important, this will eventually reflect on your external customers. You have to remember you have a product, you have a service that you need to deliver. There's someone who has to deliver that service or sell that product for you, and that is your employee. And that employee becomes your customer. So it's important for us as employers to start appreciating our internal customers and serving them as though as we were serving our own external customers. Sometimes it's not easy to do because we are thinking, yes, you're offering me a service, I'm paying you for it. So why should I really care? Why should I give you more than the salary I'm giving you? But the truth is that in as much as you're paying me for that service, I need to feel important. I need to feel appreciated. I need to feel, you need me as your internal customer. I need to feel needed in this organization. And that way I will be able to give my service wholeheartedly, completely, without any reservations.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is very true. If the internal customer is getting a bad deal, then the external customer will have a problem. And that's something we have seen many, many times. I mean, I cannot give you personally, from my own perspective, the many times I have walked either in a supermarket or I've gone to a bank, and I can immediately tell the vibes are not good here. Yet I walk to another bank or branch next door, and the vibes are very different. I mean, you can tell here things are flowing. Kenji, from your perspective, uh, what's what's your perspective of the employee as an internal customer?
So, Tony, first,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm having some internet delays. I don't know if you're hearing me well.
Yes, superbly.
Super clear.
Yes.
So, just please repeat that question. I think it just slipped. I didn't hear. I had it in phases.
Okay. I'm asking,
Yeah. Yeah.
from your perspective,
Yeah.
what do you think about an employee as an internal customer? You know, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, Tony, so first I'll speak in my experience.
Yes.
I've been employed in about 3 places, 2 banks, and 1 art center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't ask how I moved. It was a drastic shift.
Okay.
But it was very interesting because I experienced very different styles of treatment in all those organizations.
All
And when we
right.
talk about the internal customers and employee, I think the first thing an employee gets or receives when they get into an organization
Yes.
is the culture. I think you don't even have to say much about who you are.
Yes.
People just observe and just know that, oh, this is how people do things here. Now, in only one of those organizations did I receive care. And care is like a language.
Yes.
So care is not something that you adopt today and tomorrow you drop.
Yes.
It's something that is inculcated in your culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you, I really and it's funny how in that organization is where I thrived the most. The one that really cared about me.
Mm-hmm.
And they cared not only about the work that I'm doing, but the other aspects of life. What's happening? That time was a single man. Like, what's happening? What do you do over the weekends? Where do you hang out? What are the things you like besides coming to work? And I felt cared for. So to tie it with your question, how my experience has been as an employee is I've had several experiences based on where I've worked. But the one thing that stood out for me was the culture of care from the employer. Yeah.
Wow. Yes, we invite your comments. If you're listening to us or watching us today through Facebook, we'd want to hear your comments, because I'm sure each one of us, if you've been employed somewhere, there has to be something you went through or something that you're going through that you can give us a positive or a negative example and things that you have learned. And indeed, Kenji, as you say, the duty to care, the willingness to care by an organization really gives a very wonderful experience to a new employee or even somebody who is still there. I know, I won't mention names, but I know a number of companies in this country where employees are very reluctant to leave because for them, they consider like they are part of a family. They are cared for. Yes, obviously, they are paid well. Yeah, there are perks here and there and all that. But more importantly, they get the feeling that my employer cares. Now, the next question that we want to drop in is, what is employee mapping? I don't know whether I've asked I don't know whether that is the best. Yes, that's the best way. What is employee journey mapping? Zippy, probably you could tell us what this big word, employee journey mapping, means.
Please.
Oh dear. I'm trying to look for the simple words as much as I can of what an employee journey mapping is. And
Yes.
I would say, number one, this is a recollection of experiences that would form the employee's journey in an organization. And I would say, in a simple definition, employee journey mapping is a discipline that can help ensure employees have a positive experience while working in your organization. And this starts with first impressions. When you walk into an organization, the first place you meet is either the askari or the reception. What kind of experience do you get from that point of entry? Because that is a reflection of the organization. So employee journey mapping, at the end of the day, is a recollection of the so many experiences you're going to experience, and that forms the whole journey. So from an organization perspective, do we look at this journey and say we need to map out a process for our employees and say if an employee gets into the organization, this is the ideal journey we want our employee to go through? Or do we leave it to chance and say, you know, they will fit in, they will flow somehow, and not really care about the experiences they, you know, gain or encounter along the way, whether bad or good experiences? So I think from an employer perspective, and even from an HR perspective, it's important for us to start looking at our processes and say, yes, we want to attract good talent, we want to attract good people, but what kind of a journey or what kind of an experience are we going to create for these people? We are actually looking for them to join our organization. So we kind of create some sort of a process or some sort of a map, and we say this is the ideal. And, you know, probably take prototypes of different employees and along the way do sampling or do feedback and see what has been their experience. Are we creating that journey that is ideal for us, or are our employees experiencing something totally different that is actually forming the organization culture, like Kenjie has put it? Because it's those experiences that form the culture of the organization. And a lot of times we keep on saying we need to change the organization culture. But how do we change the organization culture when we keep on creating experiences for employees that are not pleasant? When we keep on creating scenarios where the culture is very difficult to change that culture. So we need to go back actually to the drawing board and start looking at it and say, I want to create a process. I want to create a map that is ideal for the employees who are coming to my organization. And I want to find a way of monitoring this to see, is this journey a good journey, or are the employees experiencing handles along the way that turn out to be, you know, not very so good experiences? I like what Kenjie has said, and I've personally gone through challenges in different work environments. And, you know, what was created in my mind in terms of my experiences, that kind of actually formed the complete journey of my experience in those organizations. So at the end of the day, it's important for us to look at it and I want to create a journey that is a journey that is good. I want to create a process that is good for my employees. And much like a customer's journey, employee journey mapping requires you to, you know, visualize a plan. Come up with a plan, you know, and say, this is how I want to map it out. Come up with a plan the same way you would want
give me a pen.
You would want to do for your customer, you know, end to end, you know, process from the beginning actually to the end. It's also important for us as business people to identify areas of improvement. Again, with the employee encounters or experiences in an organization, it's important for us to know where are their challenges, how can we improve the processes, how can we improve the experiences for these employees, so that we can start creating that good culture that we are looking at. You know, I always ask myself this question, even when we are dealing with our own employees, am I really the employer of choice for these employees? And if I'm not the employer of choice right now, what is it that I'm doing to create that environment that our employees will eventually say, this is an ideal place to work in, and this is an employer of choice that I want to work in? Because you have to remember, as an employer, as much as you're also choosing the people to work for you, employees are also getting to the place where they're choosing the employers they want to work for.
That is true.
So again, it all comes back to the culture we have created, the experiences that we are creating. I'll give you an example. For instance, an employee comes to the organization, they're inducted into the system properly, they get to meet their line manager, and they start working. Then along the way, they're experiencing challenges, and they go to their manager, and they tell this manager, this is what I need for me to be able to deliver. And, their need is not met, but a couple of months down the line, they get in trouble because they are not delivering what they were asked to deliver. And this employee already has a bad experience because they're not getting the support they need. Then you have another employee who comes to the organization, they meet their manager and they say, this is what I need for me to be able to deliver. It's probably a laptop, it's probably a vehicle they need to be able to use to deliver the service. And they are given what it is that they need. Now, when you look at the example of these two employees, they have a totally different experience. One of them has a very good experience because their need has been met. The other one has an experience of frustration. So you can see already we have created an experience that forms the employee journey in the organization. And I think there's a lot as employers we can do to try and make those experiences a little bit pleasant.
Yes. All right. Awesome. You've given us a very good journey, how it goes. There's a comment you've made there that the employee journey mapping begins with a soldier at the reception. The soldier and then the reception. So, that also brings now a question. Now, since most companies hire security guards from, they are outsourced. You hire from G4S or from whoever. So it means then whoever is the guard at the door, then has also to be given an idea of what they ought to be doing, as much as they're not part of that company. Okay, this is an external sourced, contract. But you remember, some of these people are rotated. So the one you'll find today is not the one you'll find 3 months down the line. So that means, as a company who is hiring the person at the gate, you have to, everyone who comes, you have to consciously train them. This is how we receive our customers. This is what we want you to do. These are the security issues you need to make. This is how you need to receive our customers, even before you train your receptionist. I don't know, Kenjie, whether
actually, Tony, let me share an experience. Actually, now that you have talked about the security guard, an experience I've had recently, actually, just this month of October and late September, where these were two different experiences. Where I walked into one organization, I drove in, and the security guard opened the gate for me. I went and parked my car, and I was ready to leave. I get out of the car. As many ladies would agree with me, we like having different pairs of shoes in the car. So I get out of the car, change my driving shoes to the shoes I needed to wear for the day, pick up my bags, and I lock the car, and I'm walking to the office. And this security guard was like 50 meters away. Then he slowly strolls and comes to me and tells me, "Madam, you can't park here." And at that point, and I was actually going for a meeting and I'm late. And you have to remember, I'm not even an employee. I'm a consultant, and I'm trying to relate to an employee experience. And I'm thinking, okay, you've been there all along. You've seen me do all these things I was doing, and you have waited until I'm walking away for you to come and tell me you need to move your car. And I'm like, honestly, I don't think that's right. But anyway, I politely went and moved my car. That was an experience I had. Then I got to a totally different client, and the experience was awesome. And the Askari comes and he greets us and he says, welcome to this organization. We love visitors. how can I help you? Who are you coming to see? And they welcome us very well. And on our exit, this same askari said, have you been served well? And he said, we welcome you to come back. I mean, that was a pleasant experience. So you can see these are totally different experiences that go along, the journey of any person coming to the organization. And this includes employees. When that employee is a totally new employee coming to your organization, they don't even know which office they are going to. They don't even know where the reception is at. What experience are they getting from the gate to the reception to the person they will eventually need to meet with?
Aha. Wow. Those are two separate experiences which reflect either well or poorly on the companies that you went through. I appreciate the comments that are coming in. Mwende Mbai, I appreciate what you're saying. She's saying, security guards, too many experiences. Yeah, looks like we have seen some interesting stuff when people visit. So if you're listening to us and you run your own company and you're wondering, okay, why is it that some people, by the time they reach the reception, they are looking angry or they are already pissed off? It's just an issue to do with the person right there at the gate. You need to train them. Kenjie, quickly, you tell us, what is your, looking at the conversation, what's your view about employee journey mapping?
Yeah. In fact, I want to just tie it in with what Zipia said. The thing about guards, the askaris on the gate, I tell you, if you've not had an experience, then maybe you need to visit more businesses. And the thing about guards, they forget that they are part of the customer experience. So they look at themselves very separate from the institution. They look at themselves as independent workers. We are security guards. All we do is we implement commands. And I think it's important that organizations start to also rope in the security firms into their whole customer journey. Because I think what they do is they look at it separately. They say, oh, our employees, we're going to train them, we're going to invest in them. And then they forget the other firms that they have outsourced. So I think it's important for first an integration of some kind with the firm if it's outsourced. And then also outsource a firm that is credible. A lot of firms right now, just because there's need for employment and a lot of developments and establishments are coming up, there's been an opportunity there for security firms to come in and fill that space. So a lot of quote unquote makeshift security companies have come up, and these guys are not well trained. They just put people in uniform and give them a set of commands to do. And you find this guy, the security firms, there's no one who actually trains them or cares for them. So what do those guys, they do? They act out of instinct. They do what they think is right, provided they meet the objective. And they forget that there are many ways of skinning a rat. Even if you want to get someone to do action X, you don't want them to go into the building. Or sometimes that gun that's constantly pointed to your head, for me, it's very offensive. In fact, I tell them, I give them my hand. If they don't want, Nambia, do you understand that you can also get the temperature that you're looking for from my arm? Apart fanyangi hivyo, I'm like, boss. You need to have some form of, be educated. At least have some information so that you can meet your objectives. Just don't be, a one-trick pony. All you want to do is that one thing that you've been told. So that's first sorry, that sounded like a rant. But what we're trying to say is guards need to really step up. And organizations really need to look at them as their first point of customer experience. But now moving more into the organization, what I believe, and this is what I've seen. When the helm or the leaders in an organization actually care for the employees will care for the customers.
Exactly.
It's a trickle-down effect. Sometimes you find the people at the front desk are unhappy just because also the employer is treating them with the same spite. You know, maybe they don't do a certain thing, and then the employer actually puts all the frustration on these employees. What I believe is, first, you need to co-create experiences with your employees. I don't also believe in coming with a script like from above. Now this is the law of the land. This is how we treat our customers. No. Because the one thing that I'm learning is also there's a right leader in the right seat. You know, you have to know first, do you have the right person in the right seat? Are they able to actually drive the company's missions and meet all the objectives? If that is first met, if you have first a good hire, then now also extend your leadership in trying to get to know them. What do they like? And co-create experiences. So personally, running a startup, I have had a lot of challenges. First, getting the right people. But I've also learned getting them is one thing, keeping them is another thing. Now the expectations are also high from them. So for you to ensure that they're also happy in their job, you need to go an extra mile in finding out what they actually like and the things that you can do together to meet also some of their aspirations. And you find it will trickle down when they start to see that DNA of care. When they start to see, and why I bring it back to the thing about care. If it's part of your DNA, they actually feed off that and also would give probably a better experience to your customer.
Wow, Kenji, you've brought it very well. Issues to do with care. You know, as an employer, as a business, you need to care for your employees, for them to be able to bring care to your clients. And as you've said, it's very important also for employers, businesses, to also be careful about the independent contractors that they bring in. You know, whether it's the security guards, whether it's the people who are sweeping at the floors, the cleaners and all that, the tea girl. It could be whatever external contractor that you're working in, for them to understand this is how we work, this is how we treat our customers, this is how we will treat you. And it tends to trickle on. Our time is really going. The conversation is hot. And that's how we always love it. Keep posting your comments. This is a wonderful discussion that we're having concerning the employee as an internal customer. Now, I want to bring a different perspective to this discussion. Now, as we know in the marketplace, we talk about customer experience, and most organizations map out their customer journey. Now, I know we have discussed about this, but can we do the same with our internal customers? I know, Zippy, you have discussed a bit about this, but probably you could elaborate it a bit more. Can we do the same with our internal customers?
Thank you, Anthony. Yes, I think we should do the same for internal customers. It's not even a question of can we. I think we should, and it should be very deliberate for us to create that process of how we want our employees, to operate, what we want them to experience in their journey with us. When they come to our organization, what kind of experiences do we want to create for these employees? Do you want to create experiences that are going to have a lasting impact, or do we want to create experiences that would make them feel this is not the right place for me to be? So even as organizations, as we look at creating our customer journeys, because that is where most of us focus on, and we forget that customer journey is going to be actually implemented by the employee, who is your internal customer. So if we forget the internal customer and focus on the external customer, the truth is the output is going to be what we have invested. So if we have not invested in good experiences for our employees, the truth is they are going to translate that to the service that they're offering our customers.
Yes.
I don't know whether you guys have walked into, organizations or even a simple shop, and you walk in and the person who is there, they're busy doing their own things. They're not talking to you. They're not attending to you. And you're looking like you're completely lost. And for
Yes.
me, actually, from that point, it sends a very loud message. There's an attitude of, I don't care. And is this attitude coming from even the management in terms of the way they handle their employees? Do they show that attitude of I don't care? Then this employee is actually translating this to the customer. And what happens when we don't create good experiences for our employees? We end up losing out because
Yes.
they will only do so much up to the level of their motivation. So if they are not motivated to actually do something extra, they're not going to do that extra thing to the customer. Some of us who sell products, sometimes you have a product that complements another product. And you want your employee to not just sell the product the customer is looking for, but sell the other products that can complement this product or service for this matter. Again, if you are not bringing your employee to that level of understanding and of care, they will not do that. They will do the bare minimum to meet their salary. Yeah. So I remember a conversation I had a while back with someone, and they said, actually, I am doing the bare minimum to earn my salary. And that spoke volumes to me, because if this employee is doing the bare minimum to justify their salary, it means they have the potential to do way much, but the experiences that we have created for them do not motivate them to do anything extra. They don't feel the need or the urgency or the importance of doing that extra thing so that they can make the company actually grow. But the moment you start creating those positive experiences, you care, like Kenji mentioned, you find out, how is your family doing? You have moments, that you can share a light moment. It's not always serious business. I like what Mr. Douglas last week said, in where he works, they create an environment of fun. When they're working, they might as well have fun in it. And this is a culture they have created for their team. So it's an experience the employee is going through, and this creates the entire journey of this employee in this organization. So yes, it's important. We need to create that journey for our internal customers.
Yes. Kenji, do you have any something you can add?
I do. In fact, I have a lot to mention about that, but just in the interest of time, I'll just point a few things. Sure. First, I think the buck stops with the leader. The leader has to model what even good customer service looks like. How do they treat everyone, from the tea lady to their colleagues in the helm? Is there any form of disparity? And then also driving the mission why. Also, right now, employees are mission-led. I hear the aspect of paying them well, but that's just one pillar as to why they work. They work for many reasons, and a lot of them are career-driven. They have aspirations in life.
Yes.
They need because truth be told is majority of the time they spend is at work.
Yes.
So they need to feel like their input, their time, their talent is being utilized in the right direction. So it is the leader to set up structures and policies and also systems for them to be able to thrive. And the first thing is, what I was saying, co-creating experiences is, when you're hiring, also understand why. Why do they want to work for you? You'd find there are other intentions also behind. They're like, okay, I want to start at this position, but I dream to be XY person. And when you have that in mind as an employer, then you're able to see, how do I create for them an environment that they can thrive 360 and not just in their given role. Because what actually motivates them and fuels them, you'd find, is the other things that they're doing that complement their primary role.
Yes.
And sometimes I also have seen in the workplace colleagues that are more entrepreneurial.
Yes.
Do you actually foster that culture? Do you give them an opportunity rather than outsource for a catering company that sells mandazis and teas? Do you give them an opportunity to bring their cakes? Tell them, hey guys, if you want to sell something, start here. Start with your colleagues. You bake your cakes, bring your mandazis, sell them here. We are not going to contract anyone from outside.
Yes.
That is supporting their aspirations, and employees, that's the they feel cared for. They feel like this company has the best interest at heart. And what do I do in return?
Yes.
I give my full support. But you find if you're only you're only role driven, so it's all about what's your job, what are the results for that particular task that you're given. You find you're turning your employees into robots, and they become items where they punch in and punch out a result. And for that, you know what you're doing? You're really diminishing their capacity to do more. Because human beings, given the chance, they can do absolutely incredible stuff. Another thing is job rotation. The guys they love creativity within their roles. They don't like being stuck in monotony and drudgery, and mundane tasks. It's important to keep rotating people through departments that they enjoy and want to grow in. And the people, I understand, that get stuck in a particular role and want to grow in it, but it's important for you to foster that culture of, you need to learn one other thing rather than this. How about I throw you in the deep end? And then also the leader has the ability to coach and not to mentor, really. Because mentoring is one thing. Coaching your employees is another thing. Guiding them. You're not in the playing ground with them, but you're guiding them through the process to be able to make sure they achieve their goals. You coach them. And that's what I feel leaders need to be, more of coaches than mentors. Mentors are about, sometimes it's good to have a mentor who would show you by example, but sometimes it's better to have a coach who will guide you, let you make mistakes, but just keep, ask you the right questions, throw for you bait ahead for you to be driven to get to that point. And you find when you're doing all these things, you're actually building the morale of the team. And if you're leading by example, sooner than later, it becomes culture. This is how we do our thing in this organization. And when someone comes in, an outsider, they actually, some of them might find it strange at first because you're doing things differently. But when they get into the system, they're like, oh, this is what breeds results. And this ties it back to what you're saying, Tony. There are organizations, it's not even about the paycheck. They're like, I formed a family here. I cannot leave. This is where I draw my strength from.
That is true.
Besides everything around me. So yes, let me pause on that. Yeah.
Wow. You guys have deep stuff, concerning what we are talking about, concerning the issues of employee journey mapping, that as a leader can be able to set the tone. There is a supermarket near where I live, here in Syokimau, where anytime I go for shopping, Zippy has asked me to go buy something. Or I'm passing by, I need to buy something because the last shop before I come to my place. The owner of that shop makes you feel like she's so happy to see you. It's not even it's a mini market of sorts. And when you enter there, she's there, she's smiling, karibu sana, what is it that you want to get, blah, blah, blah. Do you know, sometimes I don't even stop at the main supermarket along Mombasa. Sometimes I want to just come and buy from there. Why? Because I'm welcome well. She's trained her employees to also receive people well. So, and when I look at the way her employees deal with customers, you can tell they have been coached. What you've just said, they have been coached. They don't have to be told, our customers today has spent 3,000 shillings and they have bought huge number of nini. The employees simply take the stuff, and these are ladies, young girls in their 20s. They will lift the heavy loads and take it to the client's vehicle because of the way they have been coached. And you can tell the way she's relating with her clients, that relating with her employees, that she's given them in that simple shop a place where they feel secure, they feel we belong here, And right next, there's another shop. Next to which there are actually 2 minutes next to each other. But the other one, I don't remember the last time I entered there. People come and queue to pay at the cashier. It's just an issue of how you handle your external and internal customers. Now, our time is really gone. So I'll ask you to really be very brief on this last one. Briefly, Zippy, you can probably tell us, where is my question? Yes. Briefly, what are the stages of an employee journey in an organization?
Thank you, Anthony. I think, like you said, I will be very brief and I will give it in point form. One of the things will be the first job interview. So you have invited an employee to a job interview. That is the first stage of their journey. And like you said, before even they get to the interview boardroom, they have met the askari, they have met the reception. What is their experience when they're interacting with those people? When they have come up, have they been offered a glass of water? Have they been shown where the washroom is? Those simple things that we take for granted. The other thing, date of joining. When they have joined, the person receiving them, are they prepared for them? Are they helping them settle in their job well? The other thing, the first meeting with the team and the first meeting with their manager, how is this done? Are they handled in a way that, leaves a mark in their journey in the organization? The other crucial process is induction and the onboarding process. How are you onboarding them? You've given them a contract. As an employer, are you sticking to the terms of this contract? Because this is going to form a journey for this employee in the organization. So how are you interacting with them in relation to their contract and why you have engaged them in the first place? And the other thing is the first performance review. How is this conducted? Is forming memories, is forming the journey for these employees. When they decide to exit the organization, what are the experiences in that process of exiting the organization? So it's actually an end-to-end process from the moment they join the organization to when they leave, the different stages and different interactions with team members, what experiences are we creating, what memories are we creating that will form the employee journey in the organization.
Kenjie, what do you think from your experience as an employee at some point, and now you are on the receiving end, you are an employer? What do you think are the stages from your own understanding of an employee journey in any company?
Yeah, so first, as an employer, I've just realized that's why we have professionals like ZP to come and just lay the framework. I think sometimes they say cheap is expensive. Don't try and do everything by yourself.
Yeah,
that's the first realization as an employer.
Come on.
Give a professional the chance to at least set your systems in order and then learn from them, pick it up from them. As an employee, I think the one thing that I'll challenge employees is the why. If you listen to Simon Sinek, there's a guy who's very big on the why, and he has a podcast.
Yes.
It's called, I forget the name of the podcast, but he just talks about, it's all about intentionality and understanding the why. If when you employed something, as an employee employed somewhere, you need to understand why in that organization. And don't lose sight of the why, because that is what keeps you moving.
Yes.
When you enter a place and you find things are not right, be the change. Be that person who will bring about a better experience for others. Not also wait for everything to fit your let me say, your order.
Yes.
And it's important for for people to be able to see that you're the one modeling it. So employees also have a responsibility to be
Yes.
the change that they want to see. Yeah.
Awesome. Today, I mean, this again, like most of the topics we normally handle, the time that we normally use is really short because we could talk another 1 hour, give people, issues to do with how to handle the employees. If you are an employee, how do you handle your own journey? Yes, you might find you met an illiterate guard there at the door, the receptionist, probably high English could do some work, but you enter into an organization and you realize, okay, these are probably a few lapses, but I love what I'm doing. Yes, I love what I'm doing, and then be the change that you ought to be. For employers, for business people who are watching our podcast today, you might get an employee who is really driven, who is really focused, who is really driven, who has, and they show you a few things here and there. Do not be intimidated. Do not be intimidated and think, okay, I think my vision and what the person I've hired, our visions don't match. If anything, be inspired by that employee to think big. Have a big vision. And I appreciate the comments that have come in. Mwende, thanks for mentioning that customer service matters. Indeed, it matters in the sense that if your internal customer service is poor, then do not expect that your external customer service to be good. Even as you train your employees on good customer service, if the internal bit is not working well, the external will not work. So, Kenjie, thanks for your input today. We really appreciate
Karibu.
standing in the gap, representing the startups, the people who are running their businesses, who are wondering, okay, do I run this thing on my own? Do I hire people? How do I hire them? As you say, cheap is expensive. At the end of the day, do things right and things will flow. Thank you, Zippy, for the insights that you've given us today on employee journey mapping. To our listeners, if you have any questions, even after the podcast, you can send them to us through consult@aurumconsultants.co.ke, or you can give us a call. We would welcome your suggestion. If you need help, you can also get in touch with us, even through WhatsApp. We would love to help you journey your employee journey in your organization in the most positive way possible. So thanks a lot for logging in today. Thanks, Kenjie. Thanks, Zippy. Let's do this again next week, where we can discuss more concerning excellence in business. Thank you very much. Let's see each other next week.